Alrighty, guys, how are you? Grab your popcorn here tonight. We thought we'd do a quick live for about a half hour, 45 minutes on the YouTube. And how are you tonight, Tanya?
Good. I'm excited to talk about our topics,
Yeah.
which is Nosferatus, and then did you name it Phase One of the MCU? Did you name it Phase One for me,
No,
or
just
just called
just MCU, like Nosferatu and starting out the MCU. So tonight we'll be talking a little bit about Nosferatu since we both haven't gotten to talk about that since it came out and you finally got to see it. And then we're talking MCU because someone hasn't really been up, on all the MCU stuff. So
that would be me?
we get to see her as she goes through this experience of watching phase 1 and phase 2 and on. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Well, I
So
remember watching like a couple of things when it came out, but not like Die Hard, nor did I know that it was supposed to be in a specific order or so watching it and seeing like some aha moments like, oh, okay, that's has to do with that,
yeah.
and seeing those things. I'm like, oh, I never would have, like, even when I'm excited to go further with this to see the movies that I have seen that I was confused about because I
Yeah, that's what we'll
watched.
get into is asking you like, how you're doing at this moment and if you're excited as we go on.
Yeah,
But
because I watched Doctor Strange, totally lost. And I was like,
oh,
I know
yes.
this is a good movie, but I don't know what's happening. And Nick said the same thing. He was like, I know it's good, but I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah,
So,
that's one of those ones where it's like you can get lost real quick, especially because the content in the movie. So if you don't know where it's connected and what's going where and where, you can
yeah.
be lost easily.
Totally.
Um, but yeah, let's start with Nosferatu tonight. Um, So I saw that one in an empty theater. I thought it was amazing. It was nice to enjoy that by myself, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
But
It was
yeah.
really,
Yeah, you got Robert Edgars and this is his fourth movie. He had The Lighthouse, The Witch, The Northman, and now Nosferatu, which this was a dream of his. He had been wanting to do this since before they asked him. Then of course he took it on, and then it went through a little hell getting it out, but it's here, and I think it will stand as a classic of the last few years for horror, just because it was different. Like he doesn't do your typical horror movie.
right.
He really he hits all the senses. The cinematography is beautiful. You know, like that's up for an Oscar. The cinematography because this guy that I think he's done all his movies. He hits it every time. It looks beautiful. You know.
It really was. It was a wonderful, wonderful movie. And like Bill Skarsgård, like if you didn't know, you would never know. You would never know that that was him in a
I
million years. And
Yeah,
like
I've had
how,
a lot of people who you know they went into that one blind and they're like, I had no clue
yeah.
that was Bill Skarsgård under there. They're like,
That shows his range. And I've always loved Bill Skarsgård, and but he, like, dropping his voice, like how he changed his voice, not just like the prosthetics of how
he
he looked, but he
he went
changed.
and learned it's like an ancient Chinese um language that he learned that was able to give him that like that low undertow that he had like that bruh
Yeah,
like that
that
you
must
heard
have
in his
too,
voice.
because you think about like the actors and how they're in the prosthetics or they're arched over or whatever, however they have to play the part, and how much pain they're probably in, and how much that did to his body, including his voice.
Yeah.
you know he must have sucked on a lot of cough drops,
Yeah, because you go from doing the crow to doing
which was
that, and it's like two totally. And that's what I say about everything, though, is people forget he would spend hours and upon hours of putting makeup on to play Pennywise. Like, yeah, a lot of that movie's CGI, but a lot of that movie is also him in makeup out there
Yeah.
doing all that crazy crap.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Jim Carrey in The Grinch, where he can lose himself in these characters, and like even like the face wasn't CGI'd. When they make those smiles, somehow they contort their faces and they suck them in to create that craziness that's going on, and it really is cool
We're gonna
when you see
practice that
stuff.
when we're together. We're gonna practice faces, me and you. We're
Yeah.
gonna see toward our faces. Uh, but he, you know, it's you when I was watching the movie and thinking about the makeup and him transforming and how much that did to his body and how much
Hmm.
pain must have it been in, I also thought about like mentally where he had to be.
Yes, when you take on roles like that, there's a lot of times where you hear people who have had to like go to therapy after and stuff because they almost like become
Ledger.
that thing that that they're transforming into every day. Sometimes these people like Mystique in X-Men, um, you would always see the things where she would sit in the chair for like 6 hours a day. And that
Yeah.
was a lot, You're talking a whole blue suit. It wasn't just you zipped it up and you went and you shot a few scenes.
Yeah.
You're talking so many of
Paint
these characters over the years. They
and
sit in these
detail.
chairs and they have to take on this iconic role, but people don't realize what it does to the person.
Well, Lord of
And
the Rings, I think they said like I think it took like 1 or 2 hours just to put the ears on the elves.
yeah,
Just ears. But it
and you're
has to
talking. What's crazy about the Lord of the Rings movies is when you look at these orcs, people don't realize that's not CG. These are
no.
all real
You
people
could tell that
in
that's
makeup. Like today, if they did that and they did it with AI, you would notice. You'd be like,
yeah,
okay, those aren't real people or CGI or whatever they would be using at the moment to make those. But that's what makes those movies stand out so much. And I hate that Dune, in my eyes, is getting the Lord of the Rings treatment because people kind of knew that Dune was going to get a third film from the first one because it was so iconic already, and you knew that his story doesn't end with two. And to me, Dune could easily take awards with the cinematography, the FX, um the sound, the visuals. Like it could win award after award after award, but it does it because it's getting a Lord of the Rings treatment where they waited till Return of the King to give it anything because it was like we
mm,
don't want this movie that comes out every other year to sweep the Oscars. And I kind of hate that because it's like, all right, if Dune comes, when Dune comes out next year, which they're hoping for, um, I'm like, is it gonna sweep or is it once again gonna get the screw? Because the fact that Denis Villeneuve is not up for Dune this year for best director is like insane. Like, all right, it's up for best picture, it's up for a couple other things, but to not give the man a nod is like, whoa, that is some disrespect. Because he got the nod for Arrival, and Arrival's fantastic. But to not get the nod for what I think is his greatest movie yet, it's like, come on.
yeah. Well, the Oscars are rigged anyway. So
The Oscars, it's like I watch them to watch them, but this year it's just because like the one movie is getting talked because they're trying to say that they used AI for like a language thing to help, and it's like,
wait, yes, what
huh?
are you talking about? Yes, I heard
The
this.
Brutalist, yeah,
Oh,
with
yes, yes, yes.
Adrian
That
Brody. Yep,
right. They had AI help them finish the movie or do a
something to
portion of the
do
movie.
with the film,
That's
and like
crazy.
there are people out there that are like, oh, why does that matter? They use AI for everything, and it's like, but they don't. You're creating a movie, and it would be different if they said it right away, like, oh, we used AI for this. It's the fact that it was almost as if it felt like they were hiding it for some reason,
Yeah.
you know. And then you have the Amelia Perez movie, which is getting so much attention because people don't particularly enjoy that film. I didn't particularly enjoy it. I thought if I was going to watch a musical this year, last year, or this year, it wasn't going to be that. It would be Wicked better man.
Mm.
It'd be something that's not
The
that.
Joker.
It was not the Joker. No, Fala Adu. Like no. The
Mm.
problem with the Joker was you go into it, and I was hoping that it was gonna be that here is our idea of a sequel, but it's a musical. All right, I'll give anything a try. But it's that you go in and it's a 2.5 hour movie. Every other scene is somewhat a musical element. So you're grasping at straws because you're like, we went from this perfect Joker film, the first one, which I saw in theaters 3 times. Like, I enjoyed that movie thoroughly. And then I get handed that. I felt like, in a way, I was disrespected. Like, I've waited this, since, was it 2018, I guess? I think, is that when the first one came out?
So
2018, 2019. Like, this is what you give me? Like you were given a bigger, this huge budget. And I felt like you spent it all on Lady Gaga. And like I'm not, Lady Gaga's talented and she can do what she wants to do. But I think it was the wrong pick, the wrong role. I think it was a bad idea because like I said, I gave it a try. I went in, but there's a point where you take an idea because like when you watch the video on Phillips when he talks about making the movie, he's like, well, the scene where he's on the stairs and he kicks. He's like, I thought to myself, what if that led to a song? And like, it's like, so you took that and you ran with it. Like, that's a lot, you know? And that's my thing about, like Robert Edgars would never do that. Like, he's talked about, I'm thinking about doing a comedy, but he's never done it yet because it's like, it would take a lot for you to do a comedy.
yeah.
Like, he's got a werewolf movie coming out. That he just signed on to get out faster because he was also signed on, and a lot of people don't think this is a good thing, but a Labyrinth remake or sequel, and people are like, what about Bowie, blah blah blah, and it's like that's Edgar is a different type of person.
Right. It
He's
would
not
be
gonna ruin it. He's not gonna bring out some cheesy remake. You know what I mean?
yes.
He's gonna do his own
Exciting
thing.
here though, because I mean, I grew up with the Labyrinth, so I
Yeah,
would be very excited to see what a remake would look like and if it would be much darker. That is exciting to me because now it's like I'm an adult, I enjoy darkness so much, and to see it become dark, that would be that would be really cool to see. I'm
yeah.
very excited. Is that happening? Is that happening? Is that happening?
That is happening where he is on it to do it, which but
Great.
like I tell people is there's no date yet at all.
Mm.
Um he's already got another project that he's kind of putting before that, which is Werewolf, this like
I'm
12th
excited about
century.
Werewolf as well because that
I
was
am
my
too because the new Wolfman stunk the big stink, and we need a good werewolf movie. And a lot of people are like,
yes.
"Oh, we got good werewolf movies." Yeah, but there's nothing like going and seeing something new. And I always tell people
Yeah.
that, like, you know, and I see that I saw we had a couple people in the chat watching. If you have any questions, let us know. What are your thoughts on a new Labyrinth movie, or what are your thoughts on just Robert Edgars and the Nosferatu stuff in general? If you have anything or you haven't seen it, yeah, let us know in the comments. But Bill Skarsgård, on another note, have you seen the trailer for Locked? That looks interesting. It's basically Anthony Hopkins is the voice on this of this car that Bill Skarsgård looks like he's like maybe in the hood or somewhere, and he hops in this car. I don't know if he's trying to steal it or what. The
I
trailer,
did
I like
did see that, and that actually looked good. I just want to say one thing. I can't see the comments
on the
for
side here. There should be a bar, and it should if you hit it, it says comments.
I mean, I see chat on the side bar
It's all right though.
comments.
I
Yeah, I can't see them for some reason. So if you see somebody saying something, how many people do we have watching?
There was
There
two,
was.
now there's zero.
Oh.
There was three at
Uh,
one point.
Oh, well. Well, I mean, listen, let's have some fun here. Let's talk about what are we talking about now?
We were talking about Locked. I'm excited.
No,
My thing
wait,
is, I
hold on. I want to see Mickey 17. I've been meaning to tell you this. For some reason, that movie looks really good, and I connect the actor with
Mark Ruffalo with the Hulk.
no, Mickey 17.
Yeah, yeah, but Mark
Is
Ruffalo's
Mark
in it,
Ruffalo's in it?
and yeah,
Oh, I didn't know. It looks
Tony Collette's
good.
in
It
it.
looks funny.
No, it looks great. It's Bong Joon-ho who did Parasite and Snowpiercer.
I,
He's incredible. He does.
I
This is his first. This is like his like comedy. Oh,
I'm
somebody
so
said
excited to see that. Maybe that's the one that we should go see next week.
Twilight. Miss D Pants. I don't know who that is, but it's nice to see you in here. Said Twilight. What's
Twilight,
cool
yeah.
is if you got to experience it, Twilight was back in the theater all 2 weeks ago. You could have caught up and see all of them again in the theater
I
like
tried.
I did.
Tried. I
My problem is they were for that time. They were easy watches for people of that age of like the teeny into like the early 20s.
Mhm. I was not that age.
Michaela
And
loves them.
I
She's
was like,
tried.
yes, Kay is probably giving me the stank face in the corner. Just try one more time. No, I can't. I
No.
can't. And I remember when it came out and I saw the first movie and I was like, vampires don't twinkle, they don't sparkle. Like I was like, what am I watching here? And then my friend who showed it to me, I was like, are they gonna bone? Are they gonna bone? Because if they're not going to bone in this movie, I don't want to watch it. And she was just like, oh my God, I think a Mormon wrote it. So they're definitely not going to bone. And I was like, I fucking hate this movie.
Yeah, those things like you watch something, you're
Sorry,
like, man, when are
MK.
they gonna do it? And then they never really do it. They kind of
They
show they're
never
doing it.
they show nothing except for a messy room. I can't. Get
They
me off
said,
of this topic because I can go
I know,
hard.
right? Said I can't either. I got up to the third one and I just could not. Yeah, because then
Wow, you got that
the
far?
fourth is two parts, and
Oh,
it's
there's really
just too
five
much.
movies.
Yeah, like
Like how
Harry Potter.
parts? Right.
Like
There's
what is
eight
that?
movies, not
You,
seven.
you hit the second book. I mean the last book, and you got to cut it in half because you got to make more money. Like, come on, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Cash grab.
But yes, Mickey 17. I think is gonna be excellent. I
Listen,
think that Robert Pattinson has.
I'm
You know,
gonna see
people will
him in
always
a
bring up
different light.
Twilight, but people don't realize that man has been disconnected from Twilight for almost 20
Yeah.
years now. 17 years.
I did watch a movie with him. He was in space. I had such hopes for this movie. He was great in it. Don't get me wrong. I can't remember the name of the movie.
Was that
Me and my
Tenet?
what was it?
Not Tenet, right? Or was it Good Time?
They were in space and they were in like jail or something.
Yeah, I think that's Good Time.
Yeah,
That that's a
it
that's a
was
good
very
movie.
different. But it also gave me like that, like like English as in London, like kind of like womp womp ending where you're just like, okay, what happened now? Nothing. Alrighty, But I did enjoy it. I saw him in a different light. I enjoyed him as an actor.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, Mickey 17. We should go
That
see it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like as I told you, I want to try to see one a month with you, so that we can kind of reach out to the people, maybe do a live before or after, and talk about what we've seen. And Mickey 17 being the new Bong Ho Joon movie, um, like this is different than anything he's ever done. And I know that they were talking he wants to do another horror movie now after this cycle of Mickey 17, but people forget his movies always go up for awards. They always are some of the
Mhm.
best out there every year. So
Different.
we could be seeing something where Robert Pattinson could be seeing awards for this. Who knows? I'm
Yeah.
just excited because I feel like Daniel Radcliffe, how it's hard for people. Oh, that's Harry Potter. Robert Pattinson. Oh, that's he's from Twilight. Yeah, he was, but he ain't that anymore. You
Right.
know.
Well, Daniel Radcliffe has come out with a lot of different things, you know.
Yeah,
So it and he is actually funny. He's got a
yeah, like
good
Weird, like when he was in Weird.
yes.
Hmm.
That was funny. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Hey, what am I watching?" You know, like what is this? But it was good. And anyway, I do want to talk about Marvel. I'm excited to talk about this. I've got
yeah,
some notes here. I know you have questions. So we started, so Rob gave me a list of how to watch it. So it started with Iron Man
yeah,
2008.
yep,
Absolute gold. I mean,
classic.
I don't think you can put Robert Downey Jr. in a movie and it not be the best. I mean, I don't know. He has it. He's got it. He is like the golden. I mean, for me, he is so funny and so genius in everything that he ever does.
Yep,
And his wit and his timing and like, just I feel like some of even in Iron Man, we'll just take Iron Man. Like his comebacks were probably him just like improving because he is like so witty and so funny and so lovely to look at, but the arrogance of his character and like just all of it, he played it geniusly, and it wasn't like you hated him, because who doesn't hate the arrogant, narcissistic playboy, who doesn't give a fuck? Like everybody
yep.
hates that guy, but you love Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man, and that
Yeah, and
was
it really resurrected his career because before that, like, okay, he was in I think Tropic Thunder and
oh,
a couple other things,
wonderful movie.
but without Marvel and him taking on that role of Iron Man,
Yeah.
it took it to different heights.
Do you know who
And
else was up for that role?
I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise and
That makes
there was
sense.
someone else. I can't remember who it was. And
But
like
I can't even imagine anybody else playing that role.
well, that's the same thing with like Captain America, Chris Evans, and Scarlett Johansson is black. You look at these characters, and like that's why it's like, whoa, they are them. Like I couldn't see anybody else being that person,
Kudos to
and
the
that's
casting
the
director.
big problem today. Is you have people who don't realize that like Captain America, the new one that came out, Captain America isn't the person; it's the symbol. It's what they become by taking on that, you know, like taking the shield. When they take the shield, they take on the persona of I am Captain America. And the biggest problem is Captain America, Steve Rogers has the serum while the new guy who was Falcon does not, which makes it also a lot harder for him to be Captain America. And it's the same thing with Iron Man, where Iron Man was also someone who just used his technology. He wasn't superhuman. He was just super smart,
Yeah.
you know? So for me, so what we're doing with Tanya is she has watched some of these movies,
Yeah.
like Iron Man. And for me, Iron Man, that escalates all of it because I can remember in my hometown theater, that I went to growing up, 2008 May, what comes out? Iron Man. Everyone's excited. No one has a clue what we're really looking forward to. We just know that The Incredible Hulk came out, and that was a Sony movie. So we didn't see connections, but it was what came at the end of this film that really did it for everybody. When at the end of these movies, we're getting the Avengers together, you're like, but I've only seen Iron Man in a Hulk movie.
Yeah.
How are you getting the event? And then you get Iron Man 2, you get Captain America.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you get the Avengers movie. You get Thor. You got the Avengers movie,
You gotta stay for after the credits to see those little blurps of
and those
that
blurbs,
last scene.
you don't realize how important those little
I
10,
know.
sometimes 10 seconds.
Yeah. I was like, no, don't turn it off. we have to wait. Like I was like, we have to wait till the end of the credits. And Nick
Yep.
was like, okay. Um, but seeing those little tiny things, I was like, oh, okay. Even though I have the list in front of me, I was like, I if I didn't have this list of how to watch these movies, I would see how to
Yeah.
watch. But I did want to talk about The Incredible Hulk 2008, Edward Norton, Liv Tyler. Edward Norton, oh god, what he brought to that character. I loved it. I loved him as the Incredible Hulk. Was it my favorite movie? I think it could have maybe been a little bit better, but Edward Norton gave the Incredible Hulk some kind of depth that I feel like Mark Ruffalo does not.
The problem
And
is Ruffalo hasn't been able to flesh it out because Ruffalo hasn't gotten his own movie. Ruffalo is because of the contracts with the parks and everything from Universal.
right,
Disney and the MCU, they only are allowed to use him within other movies.
right,
He's not allowed his own film. So the Ruffalo character, it stinks to say this, but
he's
you get
limited.
what you get from him. Yeah,
But
and that
to
stinks.
think about like all the controversy that happened after the movie and like how, the directors didn't want to work with Edward Norton and but just to think about like the depth that he could have given the character even as limited as the scenes are, I feel like we're missing out on that. We could have, like, I know I've heard rumors that Edward Norton is difficult to work with, so he likes to take control, and and then you're working with an all-star cast who also likes to take control. I'm sure
Well,
they're all
that's what I think it is. Is you're talking like a pretty good cast, and then you have it where it's like, could you imagine him trying to work with everybody else, like Evans and Junior, and like no, it probably that would have been a mess, probably.
and also watching it this time around, there's something different because I don't there was certain things that I was like, why does this seem like I'm watching not a different movie, but things were added to this movie that I saw this movie when it came out and that was not it. Like, yes, it was the same movie, but there was like things that were different about it that I'm like, I don't remember this. So they changed it. Did they add things to it?
No, I think maybe because if you saw it a while back, it could have just been like these are things you didn't even realize went on. And since you're kind of watching them full fleshed out for the first time again, realistically,
Mhm.
you're seeing things you just didn't see before. I
Yeah.
That happens to me all the time. Like I can go see something that I've already seen, and it's like, wait, I don't remember that.
Wait,
So it's almost worth it.
wait. So Iron Man
What?
2, I thought
Huh?
was really good. I thought it was good.
Iron Man
Um,
2?
yeah, Iron Man 2 I thought was good. Thor,
Mhm.
not my favorite movie. No. No.
Well, the way it works is Iron Man, the first one is a classic. It's it's the start,
Uh,
it's it's everything, and then you go into Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2, the problem is there's a lot going on. To me, like the villain isn't as big of a threat. A lot of that going on because they're trying to introduce you to things like the Black Widow and other smaller characters, well, bigger characters, smaller plots. And I feel like that's what happens is it's like, give me Mickey Rourke for another 5 to 10 minutes, please. But they don't.
really good.
They almost waste him. Like you get Mickey Rourke to play Whiplash, and the craziest thing you get is that like scene on the racetrack, and that's really it. Like I
Yeah.
wanted more.
Yeah, it was good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like super wasn't like the first one. The first one
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
Yep.
But Thor I thought was okay. So I have controversy with Thor because ugh, Loki was so good. What an amazing character. What an amazing actor. Um but like when Thor comes down like after his father, sends him to Earth. Like, what is he here for? Like a day, and then turns into like the kindest, most beautiful. Get the fuck out of here. So that part pissed me off.
Well,
We're
that was
just gonna
that's
start
like
with
I
that.
told you is Thor was the hardest one, and they'd never tried to do Thor before as a type of movie like this because how do you take a god and bring him to the real world with real world problems and
Yeah.
make it
And
meld?
it's like 45 minutes later he's human. You know what I mean? Like it just was just like not very good.
I
But
think they were trying to do the whole with Natalie Portman where like she helped him realize you
yeah,
know
but did she? She was just there. I mean, that's the thing. There was no plot, conversations, romance. Like it was
which is
so
crazy because that leads into more stuff throughout everything. Like you'll see like what
let's
they
see.
do with that
Well,
eventually.
so Loki and his father. That fucking scene almost brought me to tears.
Oh yeah.
And it was like surprising because I was rolling my eyes half of the time. And then that scene was like, oh my God, am I about to cry? Like, I was shocked. And I love Loki, even though he's not good at all. He's not the hero.
No.
Um, but
See, but at the end too, though, Loki is just so powerful that like, because you got to Avengers eventually, right?
yep, I
And low key, like he's
he's
a
very powerful. And
very
I
powerful.
love I wish I had a little bit more of Loki in the Avengers, but we'll go on to that. The next
I'll
one
put
we're
it
talking
this way:
about.
Loki is he's never really gone. Loki's
Don't tell me.
never really gone.
La 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 la. Don't tell me too much.
Because I told you that he's got his TV
No, he
show,
got his
so
own show. It
yeah.
actually popped up, and I was like, "Do I watch the show? No, I have to
No,
wait.
you have to
Whatever Rob
wait.
tells
I think that's phase 4 or 5 maybe that
me." Okay,
Loki
now
comes in.
let me ask you a question. Did you name these for me, or is that what they call them?
That's what they are called. So
Oh,
everything's
I thought I
so
was special, but okay.
so this was like the first phase one. So this is
Yeah.
the original part of the saga because this is just when you're getting introduced to like these characters. Because then what is the next one that you have Iron Man 3? Iron Man 3 leads into like some of like the next big stuff, like the next Avengers and stuff like that. Age of Ultron, which is the second one. Um, but
But
yeah,
we're
no.
yeah,
Huh?
I loved Loki. I did not love Thor. It was not my favorite. Do I have to watch it again? I would probably watch that scene with him and his father again. And like that was like I was like, "Whoa, I hated this movie, but now I'm just like so involved."
Yeah,
But
right?
the
Like,
next
whoa.
that I watched was Captain America, the first Avenger, 2011.
Was that was that your least favorite of them or no?
No, I think Thor is my least favorite. But that doesn't mean it was good. I'm sorry. I It's not my cup of tea. I thought that the Red Skull looked like Jim Carrey from The Mask. And it could have ended like so much sooner. There were so many endings. There were parts that I liked, of course. Chris Evans was amazing. Tommy Lee Jones when he pops up on the screen.
hmm
Even though I heard he was a difficult actor to work with. Um, yeah, I started to get a little bit bored, and like I was like, oh, it's not over. Oh, we're going back. Oh God, again. And like
The Captain Americas get better from here because that first one, I've always enjoyed that one. I think that's a great movie to introduce a character, especially when there's a lot of the background from that movie that really transcends throughout the whole MCU. But when you get to the second one, like you got Robert Redford in it, and like it's a political, action packed comic awesomeness. You
okay,
get the Winter Soldier and It it's so much fun. It's one of the ones that I will always say is, like, in my top 3 just because the first time I saw it, the first 20 minutes, there was so much action that, like, it almost, like, you're like, "I just want it to keep going."
Yeah.
But, yeah, of course, it can't, but, like, so much fun. And that's the thing is you're gonna start getting into the next phase where a lot of these movies are really just fun. And that's the thing with that I've always learned over time with Marvel was people became too aggressive with, "Is this movie good or not?" And I feel like people forget the times of when we had bad superhero movies in the early 2000s, like Daredevil, Elektra, Fantastic Four.
Roberto, they had a what did they call, I forget, it was a TV show and it was X-Men, but it wasn't allowed to be called X-Men. It was like a almost like a generic version of X-Men, and it was like a four-part mini series or something. And it was so bad.
Yeah.
And it was like 1994, and I was so excited because I just went to Comic-Con for the first time. I think there was 25 people at Comic-Con, like max. And I'm gonna find this photo for you. And I have little 14-year-old Tanya with Wolverine, who is my favorite. And there was no line, and there was, it didn't cost anything. It was like $5 or $10 to get into Comic Con in like Saddlebrook Marriott. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was so little and small. And so I understand like bad superhero. Although, if I could find this four-part show, if I can remember the name of it, we should totally watch it. It will be totally
Mhm.
niche.
No,
Um,
definitely.
so we should totally watch it. So you can be like, "Oh God, you had to grow up with this."
Yeah.
Yes,
See, but
fortunately,
that's the thing is you remember that and you remember how bad it was. And I feel like
but
today
it was so
it's
good.
all about like, oh, this movie is, the critics gave it a this, and then oh, the fans gave it, but it's like, go watch it and enjoy it for what it is. Do you have to, does everything have to have hate connected to it? That's the
Of
problem with
course.
social media today is,
Well,
you
let me
know,
ask
for,
you a question. Did my sister comment the name of the show? Because she's probably watching and she might know the name of that show.
is your sister Miss DePants?
Yes.
She did say, I remember when you went and how excited you were.
I was so excited. I was like a little kid. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
No,
am
you're
gonna
good. You're good.
find that show. And you're gonna see, and it was so like it was so bad, but it was so good because it was different, and there was nothing like that.
She
Just
said
like when it came out.
glitch or fringe. Was it called glitch?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Because
Well,
Fringe it was the
oh,
show that was
Fringe.
on.
My sister said it was a great show. I just don't have it. I don't have wherever it's streaming on, so I can't ever watch it, but that is her favorite show. Have you ever seen Fringe, Rob?
Yes. And
And
she said, "No, I don't remember the show you were referring."
okay.
We
But
do
do
have
you
two people in the chat. Whoever else is in the chat, if you have anything to say about, if you know anything about the MCU or just you haven't seen anything and you're
who's your
just
favorite
watching to see,
character?
let us know because these lives and our podcast is to also interact with people, but also to just talk with amongst me and Tanya about, because we could call each other and talk for hours, but we try to save everything for when we talk during these lives.
We barely talk anymore because we're
Yep.
like, save it for the live.
Save it alive.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Because I've
I
been so excited to hear all your thoughts on the MCU and like what you've watched so far because you're four movies in
five.
and you started Iron Man 3. So
Uh,
you're 5 movies in now.
5 movies in. I'm about to watch Iron Man 3. I tried to watch it today, but I had to vacuum and do stuff, so I was like, I gotta pay attention to this.
You're gonna
So
learn Iron Man 3 is a lot different than the first two because Shane Black, who does a lot of like he was known for like some horror movies, some other stuff that he's done. So it's got a total different tone change, and you're well. So you might like that about it or not like it. I've always been a fan of the third Iron Man. It's a lot different than the first two. Um, but it really does kick off phase two to like, whoa, all right, I see where we're going from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that Red Skull looked like the mask. I'm just gonna end it with that. The Avengers, though, what a great movie!
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I love Natasha and Hawkeye's relationship. As I thought it was going to be romantic, it was not. It is more respect than anything. I
Well, because
loved.
he's got his own family, you know?
I did not. I know nothing about.
Okay, so
Yeah,
they
I
haven't.
know about
Yeah,
it.
you'll learn about Hawkeye and you'll learn about everyone's. The thing about the MCU and Marvel that a lot of people don't get is by the time you get to 2019 with Endgame and stuff, all these characters are totally enthralled. You learn every little back thing about them. Tasha,
Mm.
Hawkeye, you know about their lives. You learn about their past, their present. You
Yeah,
you,
I'm
you know.
excited to learn about those two because it's just a little bit of what you see of them, or
Mhm.
just like the surface things that we're seeing in the Avengers. But I was like, oh, I want to see like even like the end credits, like after the credits, that last scene of them just eating, and the way that they were just like respectfully looking at each other, like me, like they are the closest.
Mhm.
They are the closest.
Yep.
So I was like, you could just see that in that moment. It's just them chewing. So I am excited to see what happens with them. I really thought the Avengers was great. Each and every one of the characters, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Thor, um, I loved the bad guys. What were their names? The bad guys. What was that race called? It's okay. It doesn't matter. I thought that they were. Well, let me ask you a question. So, were they the same people as the ice people in Thor?
A little bit because low key is like the bad guy in it in
Yeah.
Avengers
But
because
like,
he's
that alien race.
yes because he's one that kind of
Because they look totally different, which I
yes.
like that they changed how they looked completely because they looked like the Game of Thrones characters.
Mhm.
So as soon as they popped on the screen, me and Nick were like, they look exactly like the Game of Thrones. So, but I loved how the bad guys looked. I loved their transportation dragon monster thing.
Yep.
Thought that
I
that was
love that.
really scary in the best way possible. Um, I love how much they all fought against each other, and like that was purposeful through Loki. I really thought it was done really, really well. I really was like completely enthralled, like 100% in it. Like Nick was trying to talk to me, and I was like, it
Well,
was
that's what makes those movies that movie so great is that in 2012 after you get people didn't believe that it could be done and Josh Whedon, which is sad because Whedon went on to do Justice League only 4 years so later, and it was a flop because they cut his time. He didn't get to release what he really wanted to release. It was just bad. But when it came to the Avengers, when you can take these characters and you give them all their own moments and all their own time, but then when they're together as a team, you can feel it and
mm,
you're watching these scenes and you realize like at that moment when I first saw that movie in the theater, I can remember sitting there being like, they did it. Like
yeah.
I'm
They,
watching the Avengers. Like I'm watching this team kick ass. And it was just I'll never forget that. That movie will always be one of the top movies within the whole Marvel universe because
that's a movie I would watch again. Like,
yes, it is. It's one of those ones where I find myself saying, I want to throw something on, and I grab the first Avengers film
yeah, the
because
Avengers, Iron Man, the first Iron Man, those two. I mean, out of the phase one that I have, The first two are repeats, 100%. Thought I just loved it. I really did love those. I could
Yep.
definitely watch them.
Now let's so before we get you know get going in a few. If you were to rank the first phase from worst to best, what would it be?
Okay, Thor is the worst.
Okay. Which I
Attack
can see everyone saying that Thor is your typical fish out of water, weird guy. He comes
I just thought
and
that
then,
they if they didn't make Thor so like, haha, I am thirsty. I like this drink. Bull, like so that was so dumb. He could have been played so much better. And it should have been done better. And
but I
like it
think
was
it's so he's always the comic relief. Do you know what I mean?
well,
So
I
even
definitely did not find him
just think
funny.
about it, like even in the Avengers, he has his little quick quirks where he says something, or
And
be,
that's the thing. That's why I get that he's playing comedy, but it's not funny. Like I'm sorry. I people may find him funny, but not me. Thor, bottom.
hmm.
Captain America, I'm sorry.
No,
No.
I get that. I
It's
100%.
not my thing. It's not that time frame is also not my favorite. Anyway, The Incredible Hulk,
Hmm.
Iron Man, and then the Avengers.
Okay.
Even though that's hard because I just sat here and I was like, is Iron Man going to be number one? But the Avengers was so good. Like the aliens coming in and they were so scary and it was done so well. Like as much as I love Iron Man, the Avengers take the lead.
I'm with you there. I feel like a lot of people would do that. Like for me, I think I would just put Iron Man just because it was that first one. There's the nostalgia for
Yeah.
me. Same thing, like there is the nostalgia for Avengers, but I love that first Iron Man
Well,
movie.
right,
That
because
that's
first one.
that's one that I could throw on any moment and just still
Yeah,
enjoy. You know?
yeah, definitely a
Yep.
microphone drop. But I think it's like the bad guys were done so well for me that that's why it's the lead.
Yes. Yep.
They were scary. They were scary.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my ranking. Yay.
Yay. Let's go.
We also have other just a few other things to talk about for what's coming up. Rob, you want to tell them or you
Oh
want me to
yeah.
tell?
So one of the cool things so I brought up with her the MCU idea. So I said, what we should do for the podcast and the lives and all this that we do, and we're on the TikTok, we're on the Instagram, we're all on all that stuff. Is her have one thing, which is her watching the MCU, and me have one thing where she chose, and she
And
knows I
can
have
you
not
believe
watched
it?
Game
She
of
has
Thrones yet,
never
and I know
seen
that, and I know
Game
it's terrible.
of
But I am a movie guy. I grew up watching TV, and TV's great and all. But there's just something about watching a 3-hour movie and watching 3 episodes of a show. I just look at it like that. So I have started. I am on episode 3. So I actually
Thrones.
think I'm gonna rewatch the first 2 episodes just to kind of hook me a little bit more than I am,
Yeah.
and so we could talk more. And I'm also gonna try to record my reactions to see what people think because I haven't seen it and
Nothing
seen it for the
better
first
than
time.
seeing it for the first time and now watching somebody see it for the first time and their reactions and see if it's similar to your reactions and how you were like you're anticipating, you're like, this is the moment of, you know when he finds out that this happens, how is Rob going to react, so we're excited to deliver that. That's going to be really really fun, is to
Yeah, no,
watch.
I'm excited because I just think that this is two great ideas. Something I've never done, something you're new to, and like I said, it's gonna add, to the depth of what we're doing here because we can sit and talk about things we know all day, but it's cool when it's something new that
Yeah.
neither of us have, really, because I got 8 seasons to get through.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know,
I have like 25 movies to get through apparently. So, and I'm gonna
35.
have to 35. Oh
So you
gosh, we're
have 30 movies to go.
okay. We're there. We're gonna get there. Hey, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm not excited to see all of the Spider-Mans. As I tried to, I saw, of course, I saw the first one. But I think I don't know which one, second, third, fourth one that I was like, no, and I turned off. Like maybe my mind will change because of all the backstories that we're having and how much I truly am into it though. I'm not gonna lie. I really am like, okay,
See,
the adventure.
Spider-Man gets confusing because what happens is everything becomes canon eventually, which means that all the stuff from the Tobey Maguires, all the stuff from the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man, it all connects into what you're watching now. And it stinks because then it goes from 35 movies to realistically, if you add in everything that they're saying, you're talking almost 50 movies. But if you've
Oh,
already seen them back in the day, they don't really add a lot. Because I hate to break it, who hasn't seen Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3?
I have
You know?
seen Spider-Man 1.
So you never saw 2 with Doc Ock?
Is that the
Or
one with the octopus arms?
yeah.
Because that's when I was like, goodbye.
No, that movie's incredible. That's one
Okay.
of the best comic
I'm
book
excited.
movies
I
of all time.
honestly, okay. I'm excited
Mhm.
to see it. I will watch it. I
'Cause that's all
I'm
Sam
in it.
Raimi, the first 3.
I'm in it, and I'm excited for it
Yeah,
because
and I'm in it too, and I'm excited, and like I said, I'm excited to see where we go. Cause like I said, I know, so I've been going to theater a lot. I got a lot of movies in. I'm doing a lot of reviews through TikTok. So, if people wanna see those things, you can check it out on there, and, like I said, I'm always there. I'm trying to get out the reviews that like I can, and, I'm trying to make them look as good as I can these days. I'm getting better at that. And like with this, we're getting better with this. I think this is a great way to do it because we're able to, it's a Wednesday. We're live. We're home. We're
it's when
tired.
it's
Yeah. But like I said, this will be up on the streaming platforms. I mean, yeah, podcast on Spotify. Grab your popcorn podcast, and eventually on Apple once I figure out how to do that correctly. But it is on Spotify. It is on YouTube where you're watching it at the moment when you're watching. And
and if you have
yeah,
any movies to suggest, talk to us. We're here. We want to hear it.
yep.
We want to
And
talk about
also like DM us or send us messages on TikTok or Instagram wherever, and I will try to incorporate things that people suggest to talk about.
it. Yeah.
And that's like the greatest part about doing these podcasts is, especially with a movie podcast, is I just want to talk about movies. So if I get requests on things to talk about, I'm
I'm
down.
about that movie.
Yeah. Like
Gonna
there's a
talk
lot of
about
stuff
what
coming
you
out
want
from
me to
March
talk
to
about.
April. Yeah. That I really want to talk about. And
Yeah.
that's why I say, grab your popcorn and let's talk.
Talk. I love
But
popcorn. I had it today and I have some kernels stuck in my teeth.
yeah, I haven't
Anyway,
had any today. But on the end note for that, I think this was a great show.
me too.
And tune in next time to talk. You'll hear about my endeavors into the world of Winter is Coming. You'll hear more about phase 2 from
Yep.
Tanya. Maybe we'll talk a little Thunderbolts. I'll get her ready for that since that's the next Marvel movie coming out. And yeah, if you have any questions, um like I said, hit us up, DM us, leave comment, like our videos. We appreciate anything from anybody. Yeah, like I said, we are on Spotify now. You'll hear this on there. I'm not even gonna edit it. I've been just throwing stuff up because that's the way it's gotta be. I want it to be fluent.
Let's do it. Let's do
That's
it.
awesome.
I love
So thank you for watching, guys, and have a great night.
Bye.